that what's happening?
100%.
And what gave you the confidence?
Delusion.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll talk about the changes in relationships, how women say that men don't want to change, and whether it's right or not to leave the house to your wife after a divorce. Make that like button feel your support and join the channel by subscribing. Add a little of your love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
Here's the thing, that woman had to fall in love with you in the first place, so if she's with you, then you're obviously capable of being the man she wants to be with. The problem is that you stop being that guy for whatever reason. And maybe it's because you've changed, or you stopped caring, or maybe you were never even that guy to begin with. And if you pretended to be who she wanted, then that's your fault, because you can't introduce a woman to a version of yourself that you're not capable of maintaining and then expect that relationship to work. But I think that most of the time, it's just men getting too comfortable. You get so used to her being there that you stop putting in the effort that you need to in order to keep her there. You stop dating your wives. You know how to make her fall in love with you while it's still exciting, but you don't know how to make her stay in love with you when it counts. It's so unfair to ask someone to teach you how to love them, because then it's not love, it's just you doing what you were told. And you're supposed to be your partner, not a project. But women tell you what they need you to change anyways, because women don't replace men easily. They stay until there's nothing left. So you might act surprised when she leaves, but I bet she told you a million times what you needed, and you just didn't start listening until she left. And maybe you called her a nag, but she kept saying the same things over and over again because they were never resolved, and that's when she was teaching you how to love her, but you didn't listen. Couples very rarely fight about different things. They fight over the same problem that isn't fixed. So I find it hard to believe that you didn't know what the problem was and that she wasn't talking, because women don't stop talking until they've checked out. They don't check out until they've talked to you long enough to know you don't care.
Stop it. Get some help.
I've seen women cheat simply because they were bored. I've seen women who get tired of just being a wife and leave. I've seen women who, no matter how hard the man tries, she ends up leaving him just because she never loved him. Maybe you're right, and there was a persistent problem that was never resolved. But it could also be that he was fighting day after day to make her happy. No matter how hard he tries, he won't succeed because the woman's own dissatisfaction with herself might not allow it. Many women leave a home for many reasons. The problem is that women expect men to change as if they were some kind of project, while men expect women never to change and remain the sweet woman they married at the beginning. Besides, saying that men don't change when it's well known that the moment a man marries a woman, his whole life revolves around his family, supporting the family, paying the bills for the family, leaving an inheritance for the family, educating the children, covering the expenses of his wife, giving his woman a home, taking care of her emotionally. Do you think it's an easy task for a man to do all of that and not eventually feel overwhelmed by the mental burden that comes with it? But of course, let's not forget that marriage is only about making the wife happy.
So you probably noticed a lot of people in their 30s getting divorced lately, so let's talk about it. Now, a majority of my clients, yes, are women, but I will say this. They are very consistent across the board as to why they are getting a divorce. And I pretty much have a theory to what has caused this to happen in such big numbers to people 30s and up. Growing up, we were told as women to sit down and be quiet, do what the man says, and we were really just told that, oh, marriage is hard, suck it up. Men were told, don't talk about your feelings, they don't matter, go to work and come home and provide. That's what you need to do. So what this created was a lot of women 30s and up who don't even have an identity because they don't know who they are other than being a mom and a wife. And they were really told not to even be themselves, to be all these other identities that people wanted them to be, including their husband. And then it created a lot of men who are completely incapable of having a mature conversation or communicating correctly because they don't know how to process their emotions or even talk about them, so they just hold them in and it comes out in anger and they end up gaslighting you. So take these women who were told to sit down, shut up, and serve their husbands, and that's what they're supposed to do, and take them finding their true self and identity in their 30s and their voice and their confidence, and add that to men who are still the same, the men in these situations that are still the same, and it's a recipe for disaster. You have one person changing and growing, and you have somebody else who is still unwilling to admit they need to change and grow. The reason you see a lot of divorces now is because those people are truly finding who they are and being their authentic self, and they can't beat that with somebody who has refused to change. And that's why, because of how we were raised back then.
If we looked at relationships as a timeline from when they begin to when they end, we would understand who really changes and who doesn't. Let's say you're the man who marries a woman who came into the marriage with nothing. She doesn't work and decides to stay at home, while you start working at a company from the bottom. Now, 20 years later, you're 40 years old, a manager, with 3 kids. During that time, you bought a house that's paid off for your family, you have your vehicle and your wife's, you have health insurance, a retirement fund, and you can cover all the bills. Your wife has taken care of the kids and continues to support the home. This happens in almost every relationship. So does this mean they changed, right? The problem is that with the current divorce trend, that woman starts comparing herself with other women on social media, thinking her life has no meaning, and starts demanding more from you because she doesn't want to be just a wife anymore. She no longer wants the role she accepted at the beginning. She wants to be a strong, independent woman. You know how the timeline ends? The man returns to poverty. The woman, with a divorce, takes everything you worked for, and you're left starting over again. But of course, it's because you didn't change. If you don't believe it, just ask the man in the next video.
When a man loses assets in a divorce, it's not all bad. I'll tell you why. If you have children, then it's your duty as a father to make sure your children are being taken care of. Okay? I've had people tell me that I took the biggest loss in my divorce. That's subjective. If you're a deadbeat father, yes, you took a big loss. But if you're a father that wants to make sure his children are being taken care of, then it's fair and balanced. What am I to do? Am I to tell my children and their mother, go out and live in the streets and you take care of it, you figure it out? No. Because when I bought my house, I intended to leave it for my children. That was my intention. My intention was, when they turned of legal age, was to try to buy another home and give them that home so they have something secured. So, if you look at it in this way, you'll see that it makes sense. When you want to go out and hire a full-time nanny, right? Now, their mother is their full-time nanny, but she's more than a nanny. She teaches them, she guides them, she looks out for them, takes them to the doctors, takes them to the library, does all these things that a nanny wouldn't do. And if you want to go out and hire a full-time nanny, go see how much that's going to cost you. And the quality of care is way less than a mother. If you look at it in that way, you'll see that it's fair and balanced. A man who has children and gets divorced has obligations still, in my honest opinion. You can't just say, you know what, we're divorced, I worked, everything stays with me. I think that's a bit unfair. Okay, you got to look at the big picture. Now, would I have loved for the marriage to stay intact? Yes. Ideally, yes. But the thing is, when you suffer from narcissistic abuse and you damn near lose your mind, you lose your ability to think and decide and a whole bunch of factors, then it's a matter of life or death. And luckily I made the right decision and I gained my health back. So take care, guys, all right?
I'm not going to say what she did was wrong. It was her decision to do it. But personally, I don't agree with it. First, There's the option of having my kids stay with me because, at the end of the day, she has to work and would spend almost the same amount of time away as you would. Secondly, leaving the rights to your house to a woman isn't the same as leaving them to your children. Do you know how many men do this? They divorce the woman, leave her well off, and 5 or 10 years later, the woman, with her poor financial management, loses everything. I'd much rather put the house in my children's names so that she can't sell it even if she's living there. The next thing is that you're leaving the woman comfortable for the next man who will come into your house. Why on earth would I do that when I have to go live a worse life and still have to pay child support every month and give her half of my money? Everyone will have their opinions on this, but I'd rather leave my house to my kids, have them come live with me, and take responsibility for raising them, than leave everything to someone who could easily sell it all tomorrow, leaving your kids with nothing from what you worked for. I'll look forward to seeing your opinions in the comments.
This one's gonna be hard to hear. For years, I was a controlling wife. I felt that if I didn't control the situations or the things that happen, that we would be in dire disaster. I didn't trust my husband enough to allow him to lead. And the really crappy thing is, I shouldn't even have to say allow him to lead. Because again, that sounds controlling. But I realized something. I was so scared of our family going into a disastrous situation because my husband had anger problems, a super short fuse, so I deemed him unworthy to lead, which was completely wrong on my part. But what I didn't realize is that I was slowly putting our family into a disaster situation because I was making choices based on what I thought was best rather than me and my husband working it out together. The problem is, I was making the choices. Now, some of you might say, well, why didn't your husband just take charge? Oh, he tried. I was very stubborn, very hard-headed. And so he got to the point where he gave up. And I'm sure a lot of you have been there. And you're thinking, my husband's lazy. He won't do anything. He doesn't want to lead. And honestly, that was just due to years of me trying to lead and pushing off anything that he said. So then I had to swallow my pride. And I had to say, okay, Jesus, take the wheel. And that's when I realized my marriage was less about my relationship with my husband and more about my relationship with God. Because I had to learn how to be a good wife. And funny, when my husband started taking the lead, seems like the house got figured out and things got balanced. It took a while to get there due to many years of my mistake, but we finally got there. So if you're a wife out there struggling with the same thing, trust me, I get it. But it's time for you and your spouse to come together and make decisions together. Allow him to lead the family where you need to go. Because to be honest, men are actually really smart. Well, most of them, not all of them. Because women react out of their emotions and men use logic. There's a reason why men were chosen to be the leaders of the home and the head of the household. They just have a different set of skills than we do. And that's okay. Just like we were chosen to have babies and they were not. Because let's face it, they could not handle it. So if you want to learn how to become a better wife, because let's face it, we can all learn to become better, check out our Restore Your Marriage course right there on our profile. And use that to help you grow and become better, to grow and restore your marriage.
Because she had to learn how to be a good wife. That's the issue. Do you know how many talented men can't get ahead simply because of the woman they have by their side? Women who don't support you, who don't let you take the initiative, who belittle you, who want to contradict every decision you make. I've always said that there can't be two men in a house. If a woman doesn't let her husband lead, it only ends in divorce. Women today have so much masculine energy that they can't take a step back and let their man lead the household. It's not about controlling you. It's about accepting decisions that could be good for both of you. She understands that when she tried to be the head of the household, everything started falling apart because she couldn't connect with her feminine energy and the man couldn't be masculine. Women, let your man lead. Your job is to support your husband, not to be the man. It's to take care of your man so that he can be a better husband for you and your family. Remember, the man is the guide and the woman is the stability.
All my divorce mamas, listen up, okay? Sometimes we get into this idea after we get divorced, and as we're getting divorced, the trauma and pain and hurt and fighting and lawyers and blah, blah, blah gets so much that we're like, we will never be happy again. I have zero hope. I don't even understand. I got out of this marriage because it was terrible. I don't think I'm ever going to be happy again anyway. This is not worth it. This sucks. 3 things. First of all, do not place your happiness and idea of future happiness on current circumstances. You are in complete control of your own happiness. Let me repeat that. You are in complete control of your own happiness, and current circumstances are temporary. They will not be here in a year. They will not be here in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And you are bound to be happy. You are wired to create peace and happiness in your life. That's why this relationship ended, is to create future happiness. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to be hard as you unpeel those layers of trauma and forgiveness and anger and figuring out who you are and all of this compounded. It's going to be harder before it gets better. That is a promise, but it will get better. Number 2, I once had a mentor that told me that happiness is at the intersection of gratitude and growth. Okay. So I know right now you're like, the last thing I can be is grateful. I'm not going to sit down and make a gratitude journal. Do it. Let me just say, just try it. Just write down the things that you are so grateful for. Your health, your children, your children's health, your home, your parents, your support system, your friends, whatever it is. Just write it down and just sit in a moment of gratitude and then create action. Growth and continual progress, I promise you, is essential to healing and feeling like you can move on. The longer you stay stagnant and in this icky, messy, just swamp of like victimhood and anger and lack of progression, the more you're going to feel like there is no hope. You are never going to get out of this. Do little things every single day to create some progress. Go to the gym, get a different job, start that freaking business, because you can now, okay? Create some sort of growth as you're growing and creating momentum and healing and in growth, and then being gratitude. That's where happiness actually is, okay? Number 3, write this down 1,000,000 times a day if you need to. Write, everything always works out for me. It's weird and almost creepy how obsessed the universe is with making sure that I'm okay and happy. Everything always works out, and it's true. Has the world ever burned down? No. You got this, girl. I know you can. You can do it.
Oh my God!
The wall doesn't forgive. Do you know what the biggest difference is between a divorced man and a divorced woman? It's the recovery process for each. In this country, we can say that almost 90% of men are ruined after a divorce, and with a divorce rate of 45% after the age of 40, it makes it even worse. Women have a harder time getting into a new relationship because, let's be honest, men don't want women with kids, even in their 30s. Only single fathers or beta providers, who are almost always 10 years older, are willing to take that on. But here's the thing. A man who focuses for a year or 2 can bounce back. That's the wonderful thing about being a man. Just focus on a diet and the gym, get your finances in order after the divorce, learn new skills, and focus on improving just 1% each day. I bet that man will recover and look better than when he was married because, as I said, being a man is wonderful. You just have to do the work. I assure you, your ex-wife will come looking for you because when she sees your best version after leaving her, she'll panic at the thought of another woman having what she had. Trust me, by always focusing on yourself and improving, you'll see how wonderful it is to be a man.
So you mean to tell me you saw me, liked me, wanted me, chased me, got me, and then you fumbled me? What?
Welcome to the wall. In today's video, we'll see how a woman says she wouldn't do anything for her husband, that he even has to prepare her 3 meals because, as a woman, she only needs to take care of the kids. He, on the other hand, must provide everything for his family, including paying all the bills. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so we can get our first plaque. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experience in the comments for any man who might need it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
Let's talk about the common phenomenon of right-wing men pursuing left-leaning women and why we don't tend to see this the other way around. This idea started circulating around my brain when there was that video that was trending on TikTok of the man at the Tory conference talking about the fact that he starts dating people or starts befriending people who eventually leave him when he reveals that he votes Conservative and is a Tory. I think that you do hear a lot of right-wing men complaining about this, who are right-wing but feel the need to hide their political affiliation by just saying stuff like, oh, I'm not political, or I don't like to talk about politics, so that they don't get found out. You know that their values don't align with the people that they're trying to date or befriend. Let's just break all of this down. So firstly, and most obviously, let's look at the kind of values that you would associate with either side of the political spectrum. You would most commonly associate the left with caring, feeling a duty to others, people who want to perform for the many and not the few. Obviously there's more and it differs throughout loads of different leaders and stuff, but these are kind of the core values that we would associate with the left. Right, we would associate with the feeling of tradition and usually trying to make money. We'd be looking at older values, and most commonly recently we will be looking at things like greed and dishonesty. That's what we're very used to from the Tories right now. Being able to keep a promise. These are just some of the traits that we might associate with the right. It's not uncommon when someone is seeking a relationship for someone to want to find a balance in qualities. We might find ourselves drawn to people that have qualities that we ourselves lack. Hope that when we balance each other out, we'll kind of be more well-rounded in nature. Even deeper than this, we can understand how a narcissist may seek out a partner who does not just round them out generally internally, but rounds out their public image, how they want to present themselves to the world. That is very important to them. They just want to balance out their lives, they want to balance out their persona, they want that personal gain. This is why someone who's leaning quite far to the right might want someone who has strong moral values, really listens to that inner compass, wants someone who cares about the world, someone who's a feminist. He hopes that in spite of his own values, that people will see these two people together and think, wow, well, he must be a good guy if she's with him. There's the hope that these positive qualities will somehow rub off on him.
Stop it. Get some help.
He must be a good guy if she's dating him. Honestly, I don't like talking about politics. I mainly talk about relationships between men and women, especially in favor of men. But one thing I've noticed is that the more feminist a woman is, the more she tends to lean left. I'm not saying it's always the case, but it usually is. Another thing is that the values you say the right has, you portray them as if they are greedy people, when I've seen that they have more love for their communities and are more resilient to accepting changes that go against the primary family, which is the cornerstone of any society and part of what made this country great. These men also tend to be more traditional, focusing on working for their family and protecting their home. I'm not saying men on the left don't do this, but it's what I see happening today. Another thing about money. I don't think your political spectrum has anything to do with it, because we all like money. No matter what side they're on, women always want a man with money. So what are you talking about?
Positive qualities will somehow rub off on him in other people's eyes. Like carbon offsetting, where the man will hope that the woman will do all his caring for him, all the stuff he doesn't want to do. And to traditional patriarchal relationships, he will want her to provide that emotional labour that he himself has never been able to put in or has never tried to put in. He wants to be lifted up by association whilst doing none of the work. People will think better of him, and meanwhile he can go and talk to any other woman that he knows however he wants. A lot of right-wing men want a partner who's basically a PR rep who can soften his image and make him appear more approachable to others. This can result in a lot of right-wing men pursuing women with seemingly left-leaning aesthetics, such as being a goth or an emo. This is why you see so many seedy men saying that they need a goth girlfriend. Examples are subgroups that are seen to be more creative, authentic, people more in touch with an emotional side, things that these men can't do. These being traditionally right-wing or masculine values under the patriarchy. While none of these men understand that they don't need a goth girlfriend, they need a therapist. Because he only sees her as a trope once he kind of gets used to this authenticity or creativity, he will eventually get bored, having never seen her as a person. That I can contribute to the discussion is that when I had blue streaks in my hair and I spoke about things that men could relate to, I was absolutely adored within those kinds of circles. My views spiked when I had an alternative aesthetic and spoke about men. And then they spiked again when I had all blue hair and I spoke about feminism, because I was getting loads of hate views for the same empathy that these people once admired about me. This wasn't talking about something that they personally could relate to, and they weren't willing to empathise with me. Not qualities that they possessed. People felt betrayed because they'd created this kind of fake two-dimensional virtuous version of me in their heads that they then felt had just disappeared into thin air. And it's the same person, the same core values. Couldn't conflate that image with the same left-leaning values that they themselves had signed up to listen to.
Every man's dream. A woman with purple-dyed hair and a rainbow flag in her house. You honestly can't make this stuff up. Here's an interesting fact. Feminists love to brag that conservative states have higher divorce rates. It's true, but here's the kicker. The number of single women hitting the wall is higher in states where women are more feminist and left-leaning. Why is that? If men are supposedly going crazy over them. Just in New York and California alone, the percentage of single women is 45% and 50%. How can this be if conservative men, and I suppose left-leaning men too, are supposedly crazy for these kinds of women? The truth is, men look for women who are easier to have intimacy with because the more liberal they are, the more open-minded they are in every sense. But wanting them as a wife is a whole different story, because men have seen what it's like to live with one of these progressive, purple-haired women. It's like living in hell. Sure, they might make more money, but that doesn't mean there's greater stability with them. Because to them, a woman's money is her money, while a man's money is family money. That's how they think. If you doubt it, check out the next video on what it's like to be married to one of these women.
So there's a few things that I don't do as a married woman. Number 1, I do not cook for my husband. I only cook for my children. My husband will be making his own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Number 2, I do not help him pay any bills. So if he is short on the rent, on utilities, or anything like that, it is not my problem. I will not be helping him out. His job is to provide for his family, so I am not financially contributing to any of the bills. Number 3, I do not do his laundry. I have my own laundry and my children's laundry to do, so he could do his own. I won't help him put it away. I won't help him fold anything. That's his responsibility. Number 4, he is responsible for replacing any of his essentials like soap, shampoo, anything like that. He needs to go buy it himself. Even if I'm at the store, I will not be replacing it for him. If he needs new underwear, new socks, or anything like that, that's for him to do. I'm not going to do it for him. I'm not going to enable a perfectly grown-ass adult, because then they get used to that shit, so no.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
But how is it possible that men wouldn't want such a special woman? Brothers, where do we order her from? Amazon? Oh, right. Amazon doesn't sell defective products. This is what you get when you marry a woman with a progressive mindset, being treated like a walking wallet. This is a woman who has a man to support her and for intimacy, but she doesn't do anything for him, not even buying him shampoo. Because her definition of family from a man's perspective is a man who provides everything, but her definition of family is just her kids. Her husband is just someone in the background. I bet he covers her bills. I'm sure he pays for her medical expenses. I'm sure he covers everything that spoils in the house, including her upkeep like salon visits and nails, but she doesn't do a single act of service for him. At that point, I'd rather stay single because only a man with low self-esteem would live with a woman like that. It's cheaper to be a single dad. You get the same benefits, maybe even more. But sure, men are supposedly crazy about a feminist, left-leaning woman.
So there's a few things that I don't do as a married woman. Number 1, I do not cook for my husband. I only cook for my children. My husband will be making his own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Number 2, I do not help him pay any bills. So if he is short on the rent, on utilities, or anything like that, it is not my problem. I will not be helping him out. His job is to provide for his family, so I am not financially contributing to any of the bills.
Imagine how mean and selfish and delusional you have to be to come on the internet and basically brag about how you do absolutely nothing in your relationship for your husband and your marriage and think that that's a flex. But not only that is, imagine for a moment going through your house and keeping tally of all of the things that you're not doing for your husband in a marriage. Seeing laundry on the floor. Nope, not going to do that. Oh, we're financially strapped. Nope, not my problem. Oh, not my problem. Imagine just keeping tally like that and keeping a mental note throughout the course of your relationship and claiming that you still love this person. She doesn't love him because women have this innate ability to be nurturing, caretakers. A lot of women take pride in taking care of their family, and if you don't have that instinct for someone, you do not love them. This is a perfect example of why so many men will say that women and children are loved unconditionally, because she's more than capable of taking care of her children, but basically saying fuck you to the person that created those children. So he was good enough to make babies with, but he's not good enough to take care of. Like, make that make sense. But these are the same types of women that when he gets fed up for not getting something in return or not having the energy reciprocated and he goes out and cheats, now he's a piece of shit. Every single day that I come on this app, I am reminded why so many men have opted out and decided to be single, because who the hell would want to deal with women like this that are so entitled and selfish and only think about themselves while still claiming that they want to be in a relationship, they want to be married, and they claim to love somebody while they're basically using them. Okay, bye.
I completely agree. The way this woman treats this man only shows that she never really liked him. He was just her safe option. Maybe she was a bit nice to him to get the ring and secure her financial future in the long term, but she doesn't love him. Now, she's showing her true colors, trying to humiliate him. Because this video is a humiliation for her husband. Look at how she's got him, doing everything for her. This is how a narcissist shows her power, boosting her own ego. Just imagine that man's mother watching how this woman treats her son. Brothers, if a woman doesn't treat you like the best option she can get, she doesn't love you. If a woman doesn't do acts of service for you, doesn't take care of you, doesn't care about your well-being, can't even buy you a simple shampoo, she doesn't love you. Understand that, she doesn't love you. She just accepted you so she wouldn't be alone, but she doesn't love you. Never settle for a relationship with a woman who doesn't put in the same effort for you that you do for her. Don't accept less than your worth. Cooking you a meal is the least a woman can do if you're covering all the expenses. If she can't even do an act of service for you, then you need to move on. God will bring you something better, I assure you.
So there's a few things that I don't do as a married woman. Number one, I do not cook for my husband. I only cook for my children. My husband will be making his own breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You mean you cook for your children? You can't throw a few extra eggs in the pan, set aside a few slices of bacon. You can't throw a couple extra pieces of chicken in the pan. It's really not that hard to, cook a little bit extra to feed this man you probably claim to love.
Bills. So if he is short on the rent, on utilities, or anything like that, it is not my problem. I will not be helping him out. His job is to provide for his family. I am not financially contributing to any of the bills.
Then what is your job? There are a ton of women out there where they would absolutely love and appreciate a man providing. They would happily cook and clean for him. They would happily bring as much as they possibly could to the relationship. And heck, there are some women who will happily pay their half of the bills on top of doing those things. You're meaning to tell me you do nothing for your man? You only do things for maybe your guys' kids?
I'll just say to this man, love yourself a little, get out of there, because honestly, living like this isn't a life. Just imagine that she's acting this way when he's still useful, able to work and support her and the family. What's going to happen when he can't work anymore? Or if he gets sick, or ends up bedridden due to life circumstances? That man will likely die because she'll probably leave him. Men, evaluate the woman you want in your life. If she doesn't appreciate anything you do, if she doesn't do anything for you, then she doesn't deserve you. Don't waste your time, health, and money on a woman who doesn't treat you with the respect and love you deserve.
I need a sugar daddy to come pay my bills. Pay my bills.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll be discussing how expensive single life is, as women claim they can't handle it. We'll also take a look at married life, where a woman says she's tired of the mental load of running a household, when in reality, they just want to complain about everything. Show some love by hitting that like button, and join the channel by subscribing. Add your contribution to the movement. That's the only support we ask of you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
Why isn't anybody talking about the single tax? It is significantly more expensive to be single, to the point that it's like economically irresponsible to cook when you're single. It costs $75 to make a meal, not to mention the cost of running the dishwasher, washing up all of the pots and pans. And then what am I gonna do? Eat lasagna for 6 days? When I could use Uber Eats and one of their various codes each week to get a salad for $9. Imagine paying half your rent because you share your apartment with somebody, half your electricity bills, half your cable, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix subscriptions. When you're going to the airport on a trip, you don't have to pay $70 for an Uber by yourself because you're splitting it with somebody. Forget saving money on a Costco membership. When am I ever going to use 36 apples? It's honestly the only argument I have for getting in a relationship. It is expensive to stay single. Just imagine if there were no more single people. The food and beverage industry would just collapse.
I totally agree. Being single is more expensive, but it's not impossible. We're in a country where one person can still support an entire family, so it's possible to live, but nowadays it's more convenient for both partners in a couple to work. There are many benefits to living as a couple, but the problem today is that individualism reigns. Even when both partners work, there's always one who ends up bearing more financial burden and tends to help less around the house. Don't give me the story that men don't do anything at home, because today, almost all men clean and know how to take care of a home. The problem is that people have little tolerance. They don't like helping out as a couple. Living single is much more expensive. Everything individually is more expensive, but it's more sustainable. Even so, men prefer it over being in a relationship where you spend all your money to accommodate someone who then feels dissatisfied with what you provide. For example, working to support a woman and then coming home to do chores because the woman who stayed home all day did absolutely nothing. That's why more responsible people, especially men, prefer to live alone, even if it's more expensive. Above all, a man doesn't want a woman like the one in the next video.
You know it's not hard? Doing the dishes. It's not hard to do dishes. It's not hard to do laundry. It's not hard to take your kids to school drop off. It's not hard to go to soccer practice. It's not hard to sign up for camp or bring kids for vaccines, whatever it might be. These things, they're not hard. I think we can all acknowledge that at the end of the day, they're not hard. Most people can do them. Even sometimes our kids can do them if they're at the right ages to be doing so. Then why are women so loud about the mental load in domestic labor? If it's not that hard, why is it a big deal? And the big deal is that it's not about the work. It's about the thinking about the work, about the planning for the work, about the lists and the asking and the delegating. It's not about the work. Women in these heteronormative relationships are not mad about doing the dishes. They're not mad about the laundry. They're just mad they're the only person thinking about it. The only one who remembered that tomorrow's dance class, so you need to wash that tutu. They're the only person who remembered that every Friday is pizza day and the kids need to bring $5 with them and you need exact change. They're the one who remembers that you have 3 birthdays coming up next month for kids' friends and you need to buy gifts for them. It's not about buying it. It doesn't take that much effort to buy it on Amazon, but you are the person who has to think about it, know it, and remember to do it. That's what's exhausting, and especially for moms who are juggling multiple things, whether they're a full-time stay-at-home mom or a full-time working mom. It's hard regardless. There is a lot to manage. If you are the person who's managing the household on a day-to-day basis and managing kids on a day-to-day basis and managing your husband's, one person should not be carrying all of that mentally, remembering every single thing and holding people accountable to deadlines and dates and delegation of tasks and detail keeping, because it's nearly impossible for one person to do that without feeling burnt out. It is literally the reason that organizations pay for project management tools, because it's too difficult to remember all of the details that need to be managed to get things done. And you think about work, right? You can relate to that to your home. There are so many little projects that have to get done and on different timelines, and they need collaboration from everybody. And so it is not about the doing. I'm happy to wash dishes. I'm happy to fold laundry. I am happy to do those things, but I don't want to be the only one who has to think about them at all times. And if I walked away tomorrow and I was gone for a week, I would expect that my partner also knows to do them and can think about doing them and would not need me to delegate them. right? That's what we're looking for. That's why women are talking about the mental load. It's not because the doing is hard. The doing's not that hard. We can all agree on that. Nobody's saying it is. It's just the fact that they are the key decision makers for every aspect of the home and the people who live in it, which is a lot.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Or maybe it's just about having something to complain about. Can you imagine a man saying he's tired of having to pay for everything consumed in his household? You know the mental load that is? No, you never hear that nonsense because every man understands that as an adult, he has responsibilities. Let's say you're bothered by that burden. What would you do in a company where you have to deliver work on time, manage people, prepare daily reports, and handle many tasks? Would you tell your boss, I have a mental load because you gave me too much to do? When you're an adult, you're obligated to carry responsibilities. Running a household shouldn't be something you can't manage. The problem with women is that they want something to complain about to make it seem like what they do at home is more significant than what the man contributes. The issue isn't that your husband does chores. It's that he doesn't do them the way you want. Worse yet, it bothers you when he asks how you want him to do them because you think you should know how to do them like you do. You don't want to talk about it. Instead of doing something as simple as explaining how you do things and then letting him do it the same way, I bet he'd always do it that way. But like I said, they want something to complain about.
Towel up. I just don't understand why you chose that one. Is this one of those towels that we're not supposed to put up? Decorative. We just admire it. We look at it. It doesn't have a function.
Okay.
No, look. Things
all these choices. You have all these choices, but you've like got Santa on the mind or something. We live on the surface of the sun. I just don't.
It doesn't say festive to me. It's a towel that happens to be green and
now
red.
you know what the word festive means. I'm out of town for the kids' Christmas program, and I ask you to put the kids in festive clothing. You put them in neon.
And they had a great time. And I actually got a lot of compliments from other parents with how they're...
Babe, people felt bad for you.
I think that most times in relationships, you have to learn to pick your battle. You have to ask yourself, is the style towel really that important? And by the way, I thought that towel was going to have a big, like, Santa Claus face on it. But it didn't. It just had red and green stripes on it, and the man is colorblind. Bottom line, what a lot of men have a problem with in this video is that she is making him feel incompetent. But then women are saying that he is demonstrating weaponized incompetence. Guys, it's just a towel.
Stop it. Get some help.
I have a friend, a great business administrator, who always had issues with his wife over cleaning. It wasn't that he didn't do it. It was that he didn't do it the way she wanted. Tired of the constant arguments, he decided to put an end to the problem. So when he did the chores, she started complaining again about how things weren't done to her liking. Silently, he took photos of everything, so the next time he did the cleaning, he could arrange things exactly as she did. The following week, after he finished cleaning everything, she checked and inspected it all. He told me he was laughing inside because he could see in her face that she wanted to complain about something. Do you know what she did? She started saying things like, I don't remember putting that there, or are you sure I arranged it like that? He showed her the photos, and she became more uncomfortable. Eventually, he secretly recorded her as she rearranged some things just to call him over to complain. He showed her the video, and she got mad because he was mocking her. You see the manipulation in this story? This woman is like that. She's looking for a problem where there isn't one because she wants to feel important. She creates drama because they love drama, needing something to play the victim and blame you for. So keep this idea in mind. Take photos of everything, and you'll see how these inconveniences start to disappear over time.
Why isn't anybody talking about the single tax? It is significantly more expensive.
Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm an economist, and this woman in this video, she's not wrong. It is significantly more expensive to live as a single person rather than someone who is partnered or married, and the data actually show it. Here I'm showing you the Consumer Expenditure Survey by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Essentially, the Bureau of Labor Statistics ask a bunch of people in the United States to keep a diary, or they interview them about their consumption habits. Don't worry, this is hard to read, but I'll zoom in here, but it's all sorts of things. Think telephones, think groceries, think all of these other things. And I zoomed in so you can see this, but versions of the chart break out the cost of living for if you are married versus if you're single. So let's look at the numbers. Now, for the purposes of this analysis, we are only going to look at married coupled only compared to single person and other consumer units. This exercise, we're not going to consider whether or not they have children, although we can compare single parents versus married parents. Okay, so I zoomed this in so we can see the numbers, and apologize, I know this is still very small, but this top row
here represents average annual expenditures. And this red column that I circled is for married couples without children. So married couples without children have an average of $76,000 in average annual expenditures, whereas single people have an average annual expenditure of around $48,000. Now you might be thinking, well, $76,000 is more than $48,000. Keep in mind that for married couples, this is representative of two people. We have to divide $76,000, which is around $38,000, to be representative of the average annual expenditures per person. In this case, $38,000 is considerably less than $48,000. See where I'm getting at this? Let's go to food. This second row here represents annual average food costs. Married couples spend around $8,900 for food costs, where single people spend almost $6,000. But if we divide this by 2 like I did before, this number gets to be around $4,450. Again, considerably less than $5,900. While I won't break down each category showing you what the difference is, if I were to do this mathematical exercise again, I'd get the same kind of results for housing, like cell phone services, or utilities, anything that can essentially be shared by two people or you get a discount for having more than two. In most of these cases, the single people pay way more per person than the married couple. So if you are single, if you are living alone, you are put under much more of a financial strain. If you have any questions, let me know.
And the solution? You found a husband. That's it. Marry a man who provides long-term financial security, form a team, and in less than 2 years, you could even have a good savings, living more comfortably. It's a simple solution. The woman in the following video is someone who, in my opinion, belongs to the streets. Watch how she solves this problem. Don't miss this video. It's a real gem.
The only time having a boyfriend is worth it
is when
he is able to fully support you and pay all your bills. I said it.
Yeah, you said it. But wouldn't it just be so much easier to admit that one is broke and can't actually handle being an adult and paying one's own bills?
He's not your husband. If you're going to be a girlfriend to someone, he needs to be paying all your bills. Otherwise, why is he there? What is his purpose?
Well, I could think of several reasons, actually, but what do I know?
If he's not, he's just a boyfriend. Meaning if he leaves you, and a boyfriend is not a legal title.
Congratulations for figuring that part out.
If he leaves you and promises you marriage, leaves you with nothing, you get nothing.
At least they understand the basics.
But if he's paying all your bills, you're able to save money, you're able to invest into businesses that you want to do. If he leaves you, you're leaving with something else at the end of it.
Another example of a strong, independent woman who can stand on their own 2 feet. Not at all a gold digger.
But to date a guy and be someone's girlfriend for free?
Is it just me, or is some women completely lost when it comes to actually understanding what the concept of dating is?
Being someone's girlfriend is not worth it, okay? No. If you're gonna be a girlfriend, he needs to be paying a bill or two. These bills are due. I'm not usually anyone's girlfriends, but I'll make that exception for you if you're willing to pay some bills. If you're willing to pay a bill or two.
I can just imagine all the men running to that woman's profile to take advantage of that situation. Right.
Gotcha, bitch!
Honestly, what do these women smoke in the morning to come up with such nonsense? Here we present the strong, independent woman who doesn't need a man. This is what I call knowing how to profit from everything you have with simps. Let me tell you something. If you have a girlfriend, you have no obligation to pay her bills. Helping her with something because she's your partner is one thing. But maintaining her, taking care of her like she's your wife when she doesn't contribute anything? A man should support his wife only if she lives with him. Otherwise, you have no financial responsibility toward an adult woman. She should start a venture on the Blue app for $4.95 a month. Maybe that'll be more profitable than waiting for a man she's not married to support her. Then they claim to be strong and independent women with someone else's money, right? That's how anyone can be rich.
People don't tell women the truth these days. Men get told the truth all the time. We have no problem telling average men, you ain't crap. But if I just happen to have the nerve to agree with the woman that says she's average, then I'm Satan. I think that's interesting.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we're going to explore why some women don't understand why men don't want them. We'll also discuss women's respect toward men and how many say they can't find a good man. Could it be they're looking in the wrong places or that the good ones are already taken? If you enjoy this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Join the movement and add your 2 cents. It's the only contribution we ask for, brother. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
If a woman needs love, a man needs respect. Right. But it's almost easy for us to say, well, he can get my respect when he earns it. Wow. Right. Can you imagine if your husband said she can have my love when she earns it? Just as much as women need love, your husband needs respect. Right. Not only was he created to be able to need this, to receive it, he was built that way. He's going to be drawn to the places where he actually does receive it.
That's right.
Whether it's his workplace, you know, some of us are like, why is he always out of the house? Why doesn't he like to be at home? Why does he always feel so grumpy or look so grumpy when he's at home? But then for some reason, when we're out with his friends or when he's at work, he's thriving there. You see so much joy in him. It's because he's receiving respect. He's going to find respect in the relationships where he receives it. And if that's the case, we've got to figure out a way to understand that there is a true need for a man to be able to receive respect.
That's good.
Let me explain why this happens. Once, an uncle of mine, watching how I interacted with my girlfriend back in the day, told me a phrase that stuck with me. Nephew, learn to show weakness in your needs and strength in your boundaries. And there's the key, my friends. Nowadays, many men are strong in their needs but weak in their boundaries. First, let's talk about those boundaries. When you're in a serious relationship with a woman, it's essential to discuss your red lines, those things you won't tolerate even in your wildest dreams. It could be that you don't allow disrespect like her raising her voice at you, those girls' trips that seem straight out of a movie, male friends who might have other intentions, not answering your calls or letting men into your house when you're not around. Anything that makes you raise an eyebrow, you need to tell your woman. The problem is that many men are afraid to tell their partner what they don't like. They stay silent, putting up with disrespect, but they have no problem setting others straight. That's why you see everyone respects them except their partner, who keeps crossing their boundaries as if they were imaginary lines. So when she crosses your limits, you leave, you go, you act accordingly to her disrespect. I always say, if you warn twice, the third time you act. You don't say anything. You just leave. You make it clear with actions. I bet anything she won't do it again because she respects her man and knows what's coming if she does. But anyway, I'll explain the rest later.
All right, gentlemen, I got a lovely young woman asking a question that many women have. Let's hear what it is.
Why do men have this irrational fear that women are going to use them for money that they don't have?
Oh, the dripping condescension. Did you hear it? Irrational fear. It's irrational to worry that you might lose everything if you get involved in a relationship with a woman. I mean, apparently no guy has ever lost anything after a relationship with a woman has ended, because the only way that fear would be irrational would be if indeed that statement were true. Yet we all know it's not. I mean, I myself lost everything in a divorce, and I've had many friends who've lost everything in divorce. And oh, by the way, those other millions of men that have gone through divorce, guess what? They've lost everything too. Which means her claim that men's fear is irrational is, well, yep, you guessed it, irrational. But let's see what else she has to say.
Like, sir, you have lawn chairs in your living room. You are safe.
You know, I laugh every time I hear women make this claim. They actually believe that all single men, really, all of them, have lawn chairs as their furniture, which is laughable at best. But here's the point that she doesn't want to hear. It's not about where you're at now. It's where you're going to be in the future. Because let's say you're a young couple in your early 20s. You decide to get married. Yeah, at the time you might be broke or have very little. That's the way almost all of us started out. But over time you build things up. You grow a family, you buy a house, you get a nice car, you start building your retirement, and you start enjoying life. And then she gets bored. She decides that, well, she can do better. Chad down the street, he's going to be interested in her. So she files for divorce. Suddenly everything you've accumulated over the past few years is right out the window. Because she's going to get the house, she's going to get the nice car, she's going to get the kids, and oh yeah, a nice portion of his income for the next few years. Leaving him so broke that he ends up, wait for it, with lawn chairs as his furniture. Funny how that is. She doesn't lose anything. All that wealth gets transferred to her. And they know that, which is why they're the ones filing for divorce 80% of the time. Heck, they've even come up with a phrase for it. It's called a starter marriage. Then you see comments like this, that it's irrational for men to fear this. They should just sign up for it. Be willing to lose everything. Yet it happens to millions upon millions upon millions of men every single day. And when men look at that, the rational decision is to walk away from relationships and marriage. The rational decision is to understand there is no benefit. The risk far outweighs the reward. And men have finally come to that realization, which is why they're walking away. They're done. So you ladies can continue to mock us for it. I don't really see how that benefits you, but if it does, by all means. Because in the end, the men are the ones who come out ahead.
It's definitely not an irrational or made-up fear. There are proofs and studies that back it up. Women initiate more divorces, and in some cases have come out financially ahead after one or more divorces. Yes, you heard that right. It's not fear of love. It's fear that she'll legally walk away with my money. Because, let's be honest, the system finds it convenient to take from the man to give to the woman. That's why we see women in their 30s looking for a provider to offer long-term financial security. And it's no coincidence that the divorce rate between ages 43 and 50 is 45%, right when the family has paid off assets like the house. Quite the coincidence. And why do you think the marriage rate in this country is between 27 and 33 years old, and divorces happen at 39 and 40? There's almost always a 7 to 8 year gap, which is when an average family finishes paying off their home. The math doesn't lie. The order of numbers doesn't change the outcome. Marriage, my friends, financially doesn't benefit a man.
He doesn't want you. That's why he's not making plans with you. I got a lot of single girlies in this family, and we did have this chat last year, but it seems like we need another one. And of course I can speak on this because this is how I got wifed up and had all of you, my kids. If you're like, I can't tell if he likes me. He doesn't. Listen to me. If he wanted you, you would know. He would do anything. He would swim through shark-infested waters. He would move heaven and earth. He would walk barefoot on broken glass just to get to you if he wanted you. He's not calling because he doesn't want you. He's not texting you because he doesn't want you. I know I sound harsh, but sometimes a mother needs to give tough love. You've heard it before. If he wanted to, he would. Because if he wanted to, he would. Here's the mindset switch though. A man will really love a woman when she really loves herself, when she really prioritizes herself. Take your power back. Take it. You are not a desperate loser. When you love yourself so much more than you love them, I promise you, the right one will come along. You are that bitch. I love you, kids.
Stop it. Get some help.
There's something many women don't understand. Men discard in silence. Here comes the second part of my uncle's wise advice. Learn to show weakness in your needs. He was referring to using your needs as tests for women, especially if you're considering something serious. Let me give you some examples. Imagine you're at work grinding away for 9 hours, and your woman calls you, "Honey, where are you?" "I want to see you." You reply, "I'm tired. I've been working nonstop for 9 hours and I haven't eaten anything." You stay silent waiting for her reaction. If she says, "Well, when you're done and have eaten something, give me a call," that woman just failed the test, my friend. Another example, you tell your girl you're going out on Friday. Friday comes and she calls to confirm. You say, "Sorry, babe, I had an unexpected expense and don't have any money. Plus, I'm a bit tired from work." You wait for her response. If she says, "Okay, we'll go out another day," she has failed once again. You're showing a weakness in a need you could handle yourself, but you want to see her reaction. If in the first case, she doesn't say, "Come over to my place, I'll cook something for you," or "I'll bring you something to eat at your place, honey." And in the second case, she doesn't say, "Baby, take a shower. I'll pick you up and it's my treat." then that woman doesn't love you. Because, gentlemen, women are natural caregivers. If she doesn't perform acts of service for her man, she doesn't love him. That woman isn't wife material. When you stop being useful to her, she'll leave, because she doesn't have genuine interest in you. So, pay attention to those signals. As my uncle used to say, forewarned is forearmed. And in this case, he was absolutely right.
Absolutely insane how much women expect from men that they're only dating. Men in the early dating stages do not owe you anything. Only thing a man owes you is connection, compatibility, a little bit of attention, but you're not his woman yet. Why does he have to pay your bills, pay you gifts, take you out on expensive dates? Prove that he can earn your love? That's absolutely wild how some women act in the early dating stages. Men don't owe you anything. They have other responsibilities, bills as well. However, if you're his woman, then he can spoil you. You should never expect it. I'm just saying, women have a convoluted idea of how dating should be and what dating actually is about. Absolutely wild. Absolutely insane. Men don't owe you anything while dating.
Totally agree, my friends. This is where what I mentioned earlier comes into play. Nowadays, men sometimes mess up because when wooing a woman, we try to cover all her needs, wanting to be her superhero, her dad, her everything. And what happens? The woman never covers the man's needs. Sometimes, as I said, it's because that man always portrays himself as the super alpha male, never showing vulnerability in his needs. And that makes the woman not do acts of kindness for him and only focus on asking for more and more. Brothers, it's important to allow women to do things for you too. Cook you a meal, pay for a date, help you with a problem. Any need you have, let her invest her time, attention, or resources. It doesn't have to be all the time, but test the woman with small things. They love to feel useful and appreciated. If you doubt it, think about this. You surely know that woman who's a goddess and is dating a guy we all look at and say, what does she see in him? A textbook loser. But she's crazy about him. Why? Because that man allows her to help him, to connect with her caring side, to feel that she's contributing to the relationship. For example, I cooked this for my partner. I helped my boyfriend with this. That makes the woman invest in the relationship. They like to feel needed and valued. That's why when a relationship ends, they sometimes say, that man is who he is because of me. I invested my valuable years and youth. Because she invested, and that's very important to them. So, you see, it's not about being the super macho who never needs anything. Allow them to invest in the relationship too. It's a two-way street.
He is tired. He doesn't have any more to give. When he goes to work, someone needs him. When he comes home, someone needs him. Someone always needs something from him. Someone always needs to speak to him, talk to him. He doesn't get even just a few minutes to himself. He doesn't get 5 minutes to cry or break down. If he has a bad day, he doesn't have time to process that or to have emotions. And on top of all of those things, if that's not enough, he still has to make sure that the bills are paid and that his family is taken care of and provided for. He is making sure that all of their needs are met. His needs are absolutely the last thing that he is worried about. His mental health is completely irrelevant. He just has to make sure that everyone else is provided for and that he protects his family. And yet we wonder and we question why men's suicide rate is so high. It's not that hard.
Do you know why I always tell you that your top priority should be yourself? Because a man who learns to prioritize himself is more productive, makes his family happier, and stays mentally healthier. Plus, he keeps himself in better physical shape and knows how to disconnect to stay calm when problems arise as the head of the family. That's why I support you taking time for yourself, even if you have kids or a partner. We recommend hitting the gym to unwind, having friends to go out and chat with. If your partner gets upset because you take a day to do something solo, it's important to communicate and find balance. Every man should reserve at least 1 day a month for himself. If your life falls apart just because you take 1 day for yourself, then the foundations of your castle might need some reinforcement. You need to disconnect, play a sport, talk to a friend, go fishing, or any activity you enjoy. Hopefully not video games, because I don't recommend those. It should be something that gets you out of the house for a few hours, allowing your mind to escape from daily stresses. Personally, I enjoy a relaxing massage once a month. A friend recommended it to me, and it's one of the best things you can add to your life, I assure you. So make sure to have a day for yourself.
The good men, where are they? I keep seeing that video. They're hiding. All of your videos of, screaming and saying how much you hate men and your icks because, I don't know, they breathe. They just decided they're going to be hiding for a while. They're done. They're taking a vacation from women. They're probably at home. If they're not at work, they're at home. And they're just watching TikToks of women horrified, being very, very happy that they made their choice to just be single and choose peace over crazy toxicity. Oh, and where are the good women? They're at home too. Yeah, they're at home looking like this. And all the other girls, they're out at the club, they're at the bar, dating the same 6'3" guy that's probably texting all of them. He has multiple girlfriends, and all the good people, we're at home on Reddit, probably going down a deep rabbit hole we shouldn't, scaring ourselves about the world, and just scrolling through our phones looking like this.
Like I always say, if you're really interested in meeting a man, why not make the first move yourself? There's no need to be afraid. I'll bet you anything that 3 out of 5 times, you'll end up on a date. In fact, it's known that 60% of the time when a woman asks a man out, she gets the date. It's not magic, it's statistics. With those numbers, you shouldn't fear failure. Plus, you might have better luck finding a man with the qualities you like. There are plenty of good men out there who are simply tired of the same old games and wouldn't reject a woman who takes the initiative. Or is it that you're afraid of rejection?
Oh my God, there are just no good guys out there. Everybody's terrible. Dating apps are the worst. Every guy I meet is such an asshole. I just don't understand. I'm going to be single forever because it's just so hard out there. Want to know a secret where all the nice guys are? Yeah? Okay. Look around. They're everywhere, okay? They're the ones that you put in the friend zone. They're the ones on your dating app inbox that you've just ignored. They're the ones that have been repeatedly asking you out, but that you won't go out with because they don't make your stomach flip. Like that asshole traumatic guy that's unavailable, that's been stringing you along forever and that you can't let go of. So where's the real ownership that we have? It comes down to working on ourselves, getting over that toxic behavior so that we can see somebody for who they really are. Understanding that social media and the movies and everything has lied to you about what they believe a true relationship should look like. It's not as exciting as you think, but it can be secure and stable and wonderful. And there are amazing guys out there that would be a husband and a father and a friend to you. And you need to do the work so that you can wake up and actually see them.
There's a very curious cognitive bias where, when you desire something, for example, a white car of a specific brand, you might start seeing that car everywhere that month. Is it because there are too many of that car? Maybe. But it's more because your mind focuses on what you like. That's what it seeks. Women fall into this a lot. They like the chads, narcissistic, uninterested guys who sometimes treat them poorly, but stir up a roller coaster of emotions in them. These women go crazy for them. The man who has good intentions, who treats them well, sometimes there are several like that, they don't even notice them, as if they didn't exist. They're in what this woman calls the friend zone, on social networks, in activities they do. Simply put, their mind doesn't see them that way and passes over them. That's why, when they hit their 30s, whether because they've gone through a lot of suffering, want economic security instead of more excitement, or have hit the wall, as we know the wall doesn't forgive, that's when their tastes or interests change. They start wanting and looking for, giving chances to the beta provider, who offers them long-term economic security but doesn't spark any interest in this woman's sexual department. He's just her financial security. Be careful with this type of women who always complain about not having a partner. But you notice they always have men chasing after them because they're not looking for a relationship but a wallet on legs.
Where are all the good men? Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, ladies, but they're done. They've walked away from today's modern women. They're done with dating, done with marriage, done with relationships. And no, ladies, it's not because they're scared, like you all are telling each other is the case. No, the real reason they're leaving is because they don't see a point in relationships anymore. Because there is no point in relationships for today's men. They're expected to give while getting nothing in return. They're told that they need to honor, respect, and provide for women while never seeing it reciprocated to them in any way. They've been told time and again that they aren't needed, aren't wanted, aren't necessary, and that they should just go away and leave women alone. And ladies, we've heard you loud and clear. We've said, fine, if that's what you want, we're going to give it to you. And that, ladies, is where these good men are, off doing their own thing and enjoying life, because they are done dealing with the drama, narcissism, and insane expectations most of you have. Men are done with never being acknowledged, let alone appreciated for all that they do. So if you're wondering why all the men have walked away, there's your reasons.
I have always had my honest opinion about this. I don't like the idea of a man being alone. I believe that if you're a man who does things right, you shouldn't have to die alone. I know that women nowadays, the modern ones as we see here, are not good. But there are still many good women out there. Moreover, I think there are options you can consider before resigning yourself for life. There are 195 countries in the world. You can travel. Also, if things aren't going well in your state, you can change locations. I think you can try to explore your options. Now, about getting married. You have the option of a prenuptial agreement, or simply telling her that you don't want to get married and that you can live together. Many women accept this too. What I'm saying is that at least give yourself the opportunity to try. Just be smart and protect yourself. But more than ever, we need men of value to straighten out this country. That's my opinion. I respect everyone's views. I'll read your thoughts in the comments. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think about there being no good men on the market? What is your reason for having abandoned dating? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.